Okay, beginning with Barclay, Carla,
I'm here.
or Dee Dee. Is Carla
Here.
Great. And Dee Dee's here? No. Linda from Canema?
Correct.
Yes? Yes. Myself, I'm here. John Keys from Caulfield.
Here.
Gaffney Lane, Amy.
She said, she emailed me, she wouldn't be able to make it tonight.
Okay. McLaughlin, Denise Beasley.
I'm
Yes.
here.
Yes. Park Place, Steve. I saw you.
Here.
And Bob.
Here.
Hazel Grove, Harry or Jody. Are they present? Okay. Rivercrest, Karen Morey.
Present.
Do we have someone from South End? Tower Vista, we have Jeff. Is Jeff here? Don't see him on my roster thing. And I think that's it from the neighborhoods. Maybe
Okay,
maybe
we
they'll
have
come in.
a new representative from Hillendale, Sarah Peterson.
Oh, great.
I just found that out today. Sarah, are you in attendance?
Here.
Okay, good.
Welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, welcome to the CIC. We're delighted to have you.
I'm delighted to be here.
Great.
And we have Christina, of course, in attendance. Denise and Tony won't be here because there's a city commission budget meeting also tonight, so we'll miss them here. Anybody out there we missed? Okay, then we'll move right along. Christina, are there any public comments?
I don't have anybody wishing to make public comment this evening.
Okay, then the presentations will start. The first one in regard to the art murals code changes or possible changes by Matthew Weintraub. Go ahead, Matthew, and welcome to the CIC.
Hi, Bob. Thanks. Can everyone hear me? Oh, well.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Yep, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Matthew Weintraub. I'm the tourism program specialist here at the City of Oregon City. I'm here to talk to you about our public mural program. And if you don't mind, if I'm going to try and share my screen. Perfect. Already set up. And slideshow, be in the slideshow here. All right, so what we are discussing are public art murals that can be painted either on the side of private buildings or on the side of public buildings, whether they're city, state, or county owned. Just for reference, when I use the term original or public art murals, you know, something like this that you see here in this slide, that's what we're talking about. I'm assuming everyone sees the two people sitting on a bench, masked up with great. Sometimes I've seen people do that. It's their emails they're talking about. You know, everyone's seeing their emails, but talking about something else. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page there. So here's a little update about what we're doing and where we're going. Background, right, is we were directed, city staff were directed by the commission in the fall of 2020 to develop a piece of code that the commission could adopt that will enable the painting of new original art murals in Oregon City. And in addition to that code, staff knew they had to develop supportive programming and guidance as well to that. The City Commission did this because a number of community groups, kind of led by the Three Rivers Art Guild, Tris Andrews is their board president, some of you may know, advocated successfully and passionately for this change to occur in Oregon City. We know that public art can catalyze the community, give folks a gathering place, a sense of community pride. It can enhance the livability of a community, contribute to place making, and obviously importantly for the economic development department and for my role, attract visitation. Previous work in this realm was initiated in 2014 and 2015. However, there was no firm direction from our city commission to continue it. And so it did languish. And also the expansion, or really the proliferation of public art was identified as a goal in 2019 and 2020 by the Oregon City Tourism Stakeholder Table process, which is why myself, as in the Economic Development Department, as the tourism program specialist, why I'm here talking to you about this. So, as I said, it was identified by a priority as a priority by our stakeholders in 2020. We received direction from our commission to develop the code, and staff reviewed that code and conduct the existing kind of draft code and conducted some research in the fall of 2020. Sorry about this formatting error here, but in the winter of 2020 and 2021, staff conducted stakeholder meetings with those who had been involved in this process formally, so in 2014 and 2015, as well as those who had come forward as wanting to be involved in this process, either from a building owner perspective, community perspective, or an art enthusiast perspective. So we held multiple public meetings there. We also developed program guidelines, a permit application, and supporting documentation, such as a kind of easy to understand flowchart infographic that helps guide people through the process. So it's not just another onerous government permit they have to apply for. We incorporated that feedback. We reviewed the proposed program with the Oregon City Historic Review Board, received input and guidance from them, incorporated that feedback, presented what we had done so far to the Oregon City Commission in March, incorporated their feedback. And that brings us now to spring 2021. We reviewed the proposal with the Planning Commission and incorporated their feedback. And currently, this evening, I would like to thank you all. I was, for the past hour, sitting in our budget meeting. This is much more fun. I am reviewing this program with our Citizen Involvement Committee. We're going to incorporate that feedback. Once we have that, we will submit the finalized code, the associated programming to the commission for adoption. One kind of intermediate step there that I didn't include is that we have to submit because it is a land use code, we will have to submit a land use hearing with our Planning Commission, along with the Department of Land Conservation. So that's about a 35-day process we'll have to go through between when I'm talking to you here tonight and when we submit it to the city commission. So it'll bump this process out another month or two. So I did talk about that. I forgot I put that in there today. So we're going to submit for an application. And we're also going to initiate a recruitment process for the Oregon City Arts Commission. The Art Commission currently does exist in our city code, but the commission itself is not active. And so summer of 2021, we're hoping to submit that finalized code and programming to the commission and hold the first meeting of our Arts Commission. As some of you probably know, it does take a month or so to activate, or I guess reactivate a city commission or a board. We have to have an open recruitment process, an appointment process by the commission, training, and then scheduling of meetings. So that's why it goes to the spring to summer there. I'd like to talk a little bit about the feedback we've heard through this process. Maybe I'm out of water, so I'll be coughing a little bit here. So some of the concerns from stakeholders and staff were around our Oregon's First Amendment protections, which are stronger than the U.S. Constitution. We heard that the code should be accompanied by a user-friendly how-to guide, which we believe we put together. The desire of the code clearly differentiate between murals and signs. Another way to think about it is a sign and a process. I'll get a little bit more into that later. that any changes could ensure continued preservation of our historic buildings, and that the process be clear and attainable for the average citizen. We had also gotten some feedback, that we had initially proposed a appeal fee, since it's a land use process that was much larger than $1,500. We have since reduced that. An inclusion of a maintenance agreement between the landowner and the city, and that the Historic Review Board recommends a waiver to allow staff to review mural permits that are on historically designated structures. And I'll get into that in a little bit later. And we heard some feedback about the role of the planning committee recently. We had initially proposed that since there will be a bit about a month or so lack of overlap between when the Arts Commission will be up and running and when this code might be active, that the Planning Commission or the Planning Commission stand in place of the Arts Committee. We heard very firmly from the Planning Committee that they had no desire to do that. So we've removed that and created a staff review process, whereas until the Arts Commission is fully up and running, staff will review applications. And a bit about murals and historic review. So when we talked with the Historic Review Board, the planning department, who has been working with the ECDEB department, and once again, I'm sorry for the high text on this slide. It's necessary for this topic. We decided that we received a waiver essentially from the Historic Review Board, so that murals are located within historic overlay districts, but on non-designated structures would not require historic review. So if it was a brand new building, but if it was in a historic overlay district, HRB would not need to review the application. Right. So public murals on designated historic structures and landmarks could be approved by staff if they met the following, right? The mural did not cover or obscure architectural features of the building. It was located on a secondary building facade, and the installation and removal of the mural would not adversely affect the historic nature of the structure. That being said, murals on the primary facade of a designated structure, landmark, along with murals would basically not be eligible for staff review and would be required for review by the Historic Review Board. So that was the waiver there that we were granted. And so a little bit about these code changes. We had a draft 2015 code, and we did not have any zoning districts identified for proposed murals. And so what we have come up with is murals will be allowed in 5 specific municipal zones: mixed-use downtown, mixed-use corridors 1 and 2, the Lamp Falls Downtown District, institutional, along with structures that are designated for institutional use within a non-institutional zone. So if you think there are some schools, for example, around Oregon City that are not zoned institutional. They might be in a residential zone, but they have an institutional use. And so the thought there is that elementary, middle school, they might be interested in an art activation project where they could paint a mural on the exterior of a school with their students, right? But wanted to provide that latitude for them. In the 2015 draft that was originally prepared, it was we had some language on murals on the outside of buildings, and especially on the opening of buildings. There was not real clarity on why you could not place murals on the exterior surface, and we just expanded the code to provide a little bit of clarity, right? So you can't have a mural on a door or window that would prohibit the use of the opening, right? But if the mural was on the frame of the door but not over the opening, right, that would still be allowed. We had to remove several elements of the code because they were subjective, or they resulted in either staff or an arts commission having to make judgment about the content of art, which under Oregon's Constitution we're not allowed to do. We will only be able to review, whether that's staff or an arts commission, only be able to review basically the dimensions and the location of a proposed mural if the city is a regulator. If the city owns the property, we will be able to have input on the content of the art. But this program is designed to function with the city as a regulator, not with a funder of art, not as a property owner. It will allow for those two to occur, those latter two conditions to occur, but this is kind of designed how we can regulate art. So we can't really grant a permit if the artist has a strong, weak, or moderate content or concept. We aren't able to grant a permit around the feasibility of the timeline or the appropriateness to the surrounding neighborhood. That being said, except for historic review. So another aspect is we wanted to kind of clearly delineate that a mural should be installed or painted to resist or to mitigate the impacts of vandalism, we said, rather than resist, since resist in kind of code language is a very strong word, right? So mitigate we felt was more appropriate, but still was the spirit of the statement. And here is the role of the Planning Commission was not defined. We initially wanted the Planning Commission to stand in place of the Arts Commission. That being said, now we have changed that, so the Economic Development Department will be the review authority if the Arts Commission is not active currently. And in case you're wondering, I know I'm going to say at least two of you have this question. It will be with the Economic Development Department due to the capacity, the staff capacity to handle this from the Planning and the Community Development Department. So we're taking that off the plate of the Planning Community Development for the interim. So that is the end of our little presentation about public murals. I'll kind of pause there and allow folks to have some questions, if any of y'all do.
I have several questions. I'll go ahead and start. Are there any plans to revitalize the existing murals?
We currently don't have plans to revitalize the existing murals. I guess, if you're thinking about plans, that would be permitting and or funding, right? Revitalization is currently allowed under our city code for those murals, but we don't have any funding allocated for that. That would fall kind of on the plate of those property owners or any other community organizations they might work with.
Yes.
And do you have a list of the qualifications for the Arts Commission?
We don't yet. I'm actually meeting with our city recorder team tomorrow, and we're going to kind of hammer out the timeline and the roles and responsibilities. There are some qualifications with respect to the former Arts Commission about community organizations that might be represented. Some of those organizations don't currently exist anymore, so that will need to be reworked.
When you get those qualifications firmed up, could you please give those to Christina and she could pass them on to the CIC members?
Certainly. I'd be more than happy to. Yeah.
on your presentation, you said reducing the appeal fee to $1,567. Is that, what does the appeal refer to?
Yeah, so that would be if a mural permit is denied.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so we place that in line with our land use appeal. Or Christina, if you want to, if you're able to maybe provide a little bit more context about the why on that, that'd be helpful on that number. Because I will, mea culpa from our department is we just copied the,
Sure,
the
if
community
that's
development department.
is that an appeal? Who do the appeals of the permit go to? The city commission?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was probably mirroring our city commission appeal fee for planning commission appeals, I'm thinking. I don't know. And so the waiver, so sorry, Matthew, can you respond back? The waiver, who gave the waiver and what's the waiver for?
Sorry, the waiver would be for historic review board. And so
Oh,
review
okay.
of, so if I worked with Kelly Reed on that. So for example, like I said, if we received a permit application for a building that was historically designated, but the mural was not on the primary facade and would not impede or detract from the historic nature of the building, staff would be able to review that. However, if it was on the primary facade, if it potentially would cover up a historic feature, that would have to go to the historic review board.
So the appeal would be a historic review board's decision. So I'm trying to think of a scenario where there's a mural that's on the front elevation of a historic building. The historic review board reviews it and says, we like the mural, but you're obscuring architectural detail. We're going to deny it. That appeal could go to the city commission with a waiver. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, they wouldn't need the waiver for that. Yeah, there would be no, but
so there is
that
no,
would go to the.
Okay. So in the adoption of this process, we'll identify specifically that historic review board decisions for murals appeal to the city commission will have a different appeal fee or no appeal fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And my final question is, how do you propose to prevent objectionable content? That's a kind of a relative thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the million or the 64,000 or whatever value we want to put on the question, right? You know, we can make it like a Bitcoin, right? Cryptocurrency. So how do we propose to prevent that? So there's a couple of ways. Under the current process, we've created a bit more process to go through, right? Oftentimes you might want to have objectionable art or objectionable content in a passionate or heat of the moment kind of situation. Well, you have to appeal or you have to apply for a permit. You have to have a pre-app meeting with a staff member. And then once the art commission is up, you have to go before the art commission, right? So it's a bit of process. I think if you're looking to put negative content, you're more than likely not going to go through that. The other way is that to paint a mural on a side of a building, you have to also provide the city a 5-year easement, so that mural will be part of the city's public art collection. We believe that an agreement where they would be required to have it on their property for 5 years would dissuade the vast majority of property owners to want to have that on there. And remember, this is not something that, you're the first person I saw, Dennis, and when I put my mind, so this is not Dennis Anderson applying to paint a mural on a building downtown. The building owner has to be involved in this process. right? So this isn't just anyone can apply for a permit to paint anywhere. I want to be very clear. And then the last bit is history. We have seen very few, if any, cases of, I would say, questionable, objectionable, or negative content painted throughout Oregon or the Northwest when it comes to public murals. That is a definite fear that many people have, but when it comes to being realized, we don't really see that. And then once again, we can't judge content of art. We're not allowed to judge by the content of the art unless the city or a city funded entity is providing the funding. And then there can be a RFP, a juried competition, et cetera. But the city as a regulator can't provide permits based on the content alone. So, we had one city commissioner who really doesn't want to see a mural of dogs playing poker painted. Well, that could be a very nice mural. And I know maybe someone here has that picture on their wall, right? But, right, one person might find that objectionable and the other person might believe that, that image belongs in, the Museum of Modern Art, right? So, or any equivalent museum. So it's hard to say what someone finds objectionable. We definitely can regulate discriminatory or even at times derogatory content, but only once it's actually installed, then we can order it be removed. But that's kind of the question that I know is not as reassuring as you might like, but we're very confident that the Oregon City community will rally to install numerous pieces of very pleasing and positive and kind of community enhancing art.
Bob, Denise and Karen have been having their hands up.
Yes, go ahead, Denise.
Hi, I'm wondering if this will include street murals, like what the painting on the street by Ladderette Park.
It will not. That goes through a different process that's managed by Public Works.
Karen, go ahead.
Okay, so Matthew, you bust me up every time. My dad had the entire set of 8 dogs playing poker art framed and in his office.
Excellent.
So I get the reassurance that the Art Commission, which probably should be committee, is going to be reinstituted. I'd like to hear more of a commitment that it stays in place, because they were there and it kind of got let go, and there wasn't really a lot of energy to putting it back. My other, just kind of a random input. One of our best murals was on the outside of what is now the White Rabbit black ink, and it is not their fault. It's not there anymore. There was actually another building south of them originally. They had what looked like an outside wall that was really an inside wall. And in order to restore the building, they weren't able to save the mural. We did a beautiful job on the original mural committee. We're down to a couple of murals that are fading, in serious need of repair. We lost one at 10th and Main. However, I will say that the building owners did a beautiful job of putting up a new mural that is reflective of our history. For the downtown area, is there any way to specify that murals reflect the history of Oregon City, but do we just have to say you're painting a mural, so paint whatever you want?
Yeah, great question. So to your first question there, the city, economic development department, especially, right, is committed to not only the, I like to say the term, I can't think of a better one, the reconstitution of the Art Commission. So not only are we committed to that, but the continuation and the sustaining involvement of the Art Commission. That being said, if there is not, continued engagement from the community, it will be hard to do that. And I say that, in the same vein as if no one wanted to volunteer to be on PRAC or the Planning Commission or CIC, it would be hard to continue it, right? So in the same sense, I'm not trying to plan to get out of jail free card there for myself. I'm saying that we're committed to not only bringing it back, but also keeping it going when it goes back to the Arts Commission. Your second question about can we prescribe some kind of theme for certain neighborhoods, essentially, right? So for downtown, as a regulator, the city can't. However, if there are community organizations that are active in a neighborhood, whether it's Hillendale, whether it's Kanema, whether it's in downtown, that want to see certain types of art in that neighborhood, they can fund murals and require that those murals meet certain conditions, around, say, theme of the art. Then all of the, if they were to fund a mural, well, let's just say, downtown, Liz, you're on here, so I'll pick on you here. If DOCA wanted to fully fund a mural on the corner of the White Rabbit White River County building that kind of reflected the history and the story of Oregon City, they could require that the art do that. It would still have to receive a permit from the city, just through the regulatory process. But the city would not be able to enforce that on DOCA's behalf or any neighborhood's behalf, I guess. So I guess the short answer to your question is no, we can't. However, a funding entity could.
Okay, and my closing comment, I would strongly recommend that anyone who wants a new mural downtown, contact Dennis Anderson. He's a wonderful artist. The end.
Okay. Dee Dee, you had a question, comments?
Yeah, I'm assuming you're going to try to reach out for a real diverse board, because if we're depicting history, quite frankly, I kind of like the idea of depicting that, but it's nice to have a diverse one, because Diego Rivera would be far different than Norman Rockwell, and I like that diversity of interpretation. So it could be very interesting with going forward.
Yeah, so we are, not only in our recruitment for members of the Arts Commission, but also if the city is going to act as a funder, we are particularly interested in funding murals or art that reflect a diverse history of Oregon City, especially the Native American story, especially that of our Black pioneers, especially that of our Chinese immigrants as well. So,
John, you had a question.
Yeah, it's just, anytime you give people an inch, they take a mile. Is there going to be some type of controls on how often or how quickly these pictures start going up? Is that going to be like every street corner having a mural being painted? Are we going to control it as it grows, or just it's open to anybody and they're just going to go crazy and we have murals going up constantly, first year or two?
Yeah, that's a great question. Kind of one of our controls is around zoning districts, right? So if it's zoned residential, there's not going to be murals on that, whether that's a building or in that area, right? So, and then in some of our commercial zones as well, right? So think about along Molalla, Fred Meyer, for example, is not in approved, so you wouldn't see a mural there. Although I have seen some very nice murals on the sides of Fred Meyer's. That being said, our department, we're fans of public art, and we would love to see a mural on every street corner in an approved zoning district. I know this is a live, we're recorded on YouTube. I'll say that on the record. We want to see more public art in Oregon City. So there is no cap as of right now. But I'll be honest, that the cap will probably be on, staff capacity and that of the Arts Commission to approve things. But yeah.
Are there any other questions out there?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Matthew, could you explain quarter 1 and quarter 2 exactly? Did you hear that?
Yes, if you actually give me one moment here, I will. I'm going to log in here. I'm going to pull up a map for you here to do that. Christina, unless you have a map that you could access quicker or provide a better answer than I can.
I don't. You're looking for a zoning map? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes. Yeah, I have I am logging into our. Give me 1 second.
We'll race to see who gets there faster.
My money's on Christina.
Darn it.
Oh,
While they're looking, I'll just throw out there. Oh, I was just going to say, while they're looking, we do have plans to restore the murals that are downtown. We've gotten quotes to restore them. And then the grants that we were going after all were reallocated towards COVID relief stuff. So once they're back up and running, we will be restoring all of those murals.
Oh, that's great,
Yes,
Liz.
I
Thank you
understand
for that
that.
information. That's wonderful.
Our mapping program is offline at the moment, so I'm going to have to go find a static map.
No worries. I have one up. I think folks
Okay.
can see this. Yeah. So mixed use corridor 2 is the slight pink here along Beaver Creek, and then mixed use corridor 1 is this kind of maize or orange along Molalla and 7th.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And then just for reference, right, Willamette Falls Historic District is kind of the pea green, and then the seafoam, dark seafoam is the downtown.
So Willamette
That, of
Falls
course, is
downtown
an older
district.
map. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, downtown. Yeah.
Matthew, Chris, it was brought up, should this be a commission or a committee? And, I kind of, seems to me it should be a committee. A commission seems to have a little more power. I know that's just the way I feel. I don't know if anybody else feels that way or not.
We already have an arts commission in our city code. And as someone who is not a planner by trade, but managing this city code change process, my recommendation would be that we maybe look at that at a later date, because the city code change process is quite complicated, and we would need to do that as well if we wanted to even change the name or change the scope of work. But we have the commission that currently exists in our city code. Let's see how that works, and then if we need to change anything there, let's go about that. I think I referenced we might need to change some of the recommended entities or organizations that are represented on that commission, potentially tweak the scope of their work to update that into this decade and beyond. So there might be some changes, and there might be room for that at a later date.
Now, one nice thing about changes to the Arts Commission is it's in Chapter 2, which is not a land use decision, so that can be done kind of as a separate process. And doesn't have to be necessarily tied with the specific land use. So it could be like a 1-2 process. So like kind of once
Music to my ears.
Once the Arts Commission kind of gets up and running, they can have their own kind of internal reorganization code edit with because Chapter 2 edits go directly to the City Commission, and then didn't get approved. Kind of like when the CIC does amendments.
Any other questions out there? Okay, well, thank you very much, Matthew. That was very informative. We'll look forward to the progress on that.
Great. Thank you very much, Bob. And thank you, everybody, for your volunteerism as well. And have a great night. I'm going to go pop back onto that budget meeting.
Oh, lucky you. Okay, our next presenter is Downtown Oregon City, Liz Hannum.
Hi, guys. So just to play off of that, we do have plans for, we're actually working with the Grand Ronde tribe to do a mural on the side to replace that one that was on White Rabbit. Unfortunately, there was just no saving it when they restored the building. But they do want to work with the tribe to do something that promotes Oregon City, welcomes people to the downtown, and also coordinates with the tribe as they develop the falls site. So we've got that, and then we've got about $40,000 worth of restoration to happen with the murals downtown. So we're looking for funding at the moment. The grants are not back up and running the way that we hoped they would be at this point. So probably in the next 6 to 9 months, we would start applying for those grants again. But we've got 2 big things happening in downtown in the next couple of months here. The Oregon Trail game run is now virtual this year. So if you've done it before, it was a 5K last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, 2019. And it follows the 1980s, early 90s, 8-bit style game. So you forward or float, and you find out if you die on the way to Oregon City. So, but this year we're doing it virtually. So you have a year to go all 2,000 miles of the Oregon Trail. And along the way, we'll send you emails with lots of fun information about the Oregon Trail. And at the end, you'll get a medal and all that stuff. So we also have a mini version where you only have to do 200 miles. So each mile is worth 10 miles. But you have a whole year to do it. So that has been a really good fundraiser for us in the past, so that we can do more things like the street tree lights, which unfortunately we lost this year in the ice storm. So we're working with the city, hopefully Public Works, to figure out a lighting project that can help support our retail businesses and restaurants during the holiday shopping season. We're in the process of that, and we have to also find some funding going forward. So unfortunately, it might be not this year, but we need a good morale booster downtown. So a really good lighting project would certainly do that. And then the second thing that we have going downtown, originally we were going to do June, but with the new restaurant closures, we decided to push it back. We're going to do the Taste of Oregon City month. So the whole month of July will be encouraging people to purchase food or take selfies or share on social media about their restaurant experience. And we'll do a daily giveaway. We've got about $4,000 worth of gift cards that we're going to give away the whole month. So you can enter just by taking a selfie in front of the business. And that way you don't have to purchase anything. And then you get more entries into our grand prize, which fingers crossed is actually a Subaru. So yeah, we're working on the legalities behind Oregon's gaming laws are a little hard, but we're hoping that we can work out that the Lithia Subaru has been really supportive and really wants to support this process in the restaurants in our downtown, especially. So that's not confirmed, but I think we're gonna head that way. So we're still working on the details of that. But so that is going to hopefully give the restaurants enough time after this latest closure to get back up and running and have their staff trained again. It's just been a really hard process. You know, the restaurants just keep getting hit. And so we're trying to do everything we can to help people understand what's available to them and spend some money downtown. I think this holiday shopping season is going to be, you know, this next year, 6 months to 9 months is going to be really telling. We have had quite a few businesses open actually during this last year, which has been really good. We've had a couple of retail businesses, a plant store, a couple of women's clothing stores, and then we've had a couple of restaurants, the Oregon City Grill, the Pizza Schmitza Public House just opened this weekend. So that one I think will be fun. They've got some really cool Oregon Trail game graphics in there inside. And that was where Yvonne's used to be, in case you're looking. But that's kind of the two big things. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do our first city celebration this year and close the streets. The city just is wary about, you know, we average 6,000 to 7,000 people at those events, and we're worried that people are so starved for things that we would end up with too many people. So that's kind of the basics for downtown right now. Any questions?
How do you get into that Oregon Trail game?
Yeah, I can actually, I can put the link in the chat. You just have to sign up through our website there.
Liz, you can also send me an email, and I'm going to be sending everybody Matthew Weintraub's presentation, and I can put this in the email as well, or you can take it from the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will certainly send you the email. And the easy way is just Oregon Trail Game 5K.
Yeah. And anything else, Liz, you want to pass on, I'll just forward it on to the group.
Okay. Sounds good.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to feel sorry for those restaurant people down there and everywhere, really, because I can tell from personal experience that that restaurant business is absolutely brutal.
Yeah,
This
it is.
to happen is
It's intense.
hard.
We are using some leftover grant funds to hire a photographer to take really great photos of all of the restaurants and all of their food and the owners in front of it, and just getting them to take a minute to sign up to schedule that has been really difficult. I think they're just so heads down trying to survive that even just an hour of their time is a struggle right now. And so I think we're and they're just tired. I think we're all a little tired downtown, but we're gonna get there eventually.
Any other questions? Steve, go ahead.
So for some reason, I don't have a raise my hand icon, but you wouldn't happen to know if the Oregon City Grill is any way related to the old Oregon City Grill?
It is not. So it's actually the same owner for the Thirsty Duck. So they didn't, I don't think they realized that there was another one, Oregon City Grill, in the past, but it does seem to be a very similar menu, is what I've heard. So. Yeah.
And then Karen has her hand up.
I just wanted to say kudos. My newspaper on Saturday with my life and whatever entertainment, White Rabbit Books and Gifts and Black Ink made the front page.
Yeah.
For independent bookstores in the outlying counties. So I was thrilled.
Yeah, we've gotten some really good press. I think that there's people want to come to Oregon City. They want to spend time there. It's just about safety at this point. So we'll get there. And I think working with Matthew and with the Economic Development Department, we're working really hard to create a strategy to make a safe reopening, and working with the restaurants and the retail and just trying to get people excited again and happy to be part of Oregon City. I think we've got some good plans. We'll see if we can fund them.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, Liz, well, thank you so much for your presentation. We all wish the best for downtown Oregon City and its businesses down there. It's a hard thing for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you want more information or want to get a gift card, feel free to stop in. We're happy to help our businesses.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's see. Christina, did we have any minutes to approve this?
We don't. We have
Okay.
2 minute takers. One is quite fast and one is not as fast. And we weren't able to get this month's back to you, but I've been working really closely with our new assistant city recorder, and hopefully you'll have that next round.
Okay, then go ahead and proceed with your staff liaison report.
Sure. Thank you, Bob. Well, I don't really have much in particular. So you'll see the staff liaison update has a lot of the basic information. I just keep that in each time, so you always know how to get this information. But as always, reach out to your friends and neighbors who may want to be involved in neighborhood associations. Sarah, thank you for rising to the call and being involved, and you grab more neighbors. And Bob and myself are a great asset. If you want to just send people our way, you can, even their emails or our emails to them. As always, too, I'm going to scroll down. The best way to learn more about what's happening in Oregon City is to subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter. We send out the quarterly trail news, but that takes a lot of lead time. And so what we put in the printed, isn't specifically, very super timely, because we have to have things ready like 45 days out. So kind of timely what's going up or things that we know may be subject to change is really a better avenue for our monthly e-newsletter. So I really recommend everybody on the CIC and the citizen in your neighborhood to be on it, but also really encourage your members to subscribe. And that comes really within the first week of every month. And Kristen Brown puts it together. And it's lots of information from what's going on in the library to public work updates to city events, as well as links. For neighborhood associations that are meeting with developers for neighborhood association meetings, if you want access to the pre-application conference notes, they're always available through the public records request process. And I know I've helped a number of neighborhood associations navigate that process, but you can always find out kind of what the initial city comments were and the public pre-application notes. That's the best way to get those through the city, is through our kind of formal public records request link, and that's available on my liaison report as well. One last thing I want to remind everybody, the CIC meets the first Monday of every month unless there's a holiday. And we have 2 coming up this summer. One, July 5th is a Monday, which is the actual public holiday for the July 4th holiday because it falls on a Sunday. So there will be no July CIC meeting. And September, as always, is Labor Day, so there is no September CIC meeting. So we will have a June and July CIC meeting this summer. So just want to remind everybody about those dates. And that is all I have. If anybody has any questions.
I think you misspoke. There's a June and an August meeting.
There's an August
July.
and a June. You're correct. There's no July. I was doing my knuckle thing wrong. But yes, correct. There is no July and no September CIC.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, now we're going to get into the roundtable. And before we do that, I've got to mention something that's really been troubling me. really, really been troubling me. After the last CIC meeting, I was emailed by a city commissioner and one CIC member to have Dennis Anderson cease speaking about the cottage development in Kanema. At the time, I thought, okay, he's been going on and on about that at length, and maybe it should be toned down. However, after giving it further thought, I've decided not to do that. My role as the CIC chair is to control the meetings and set the agenda. I'm not a decider of who says what at these meetings, and I don't intend to be. The roundtable is meant to be an open forum for members to speak about what's going on in their neighborhoods and what may be coming up in their neighborhoods. And I don't have the power to limit what they say. If the other party in Dennis's discussions wishes to speak to the CIC about this, it's simply a matter of contacting me, and I'll be sure to put that person on the agenda to discuss it, or they could come to public comments. I can't tell you how upset I am about this. But considering all this, I am going to ask Dennis to limit his conversation on that subject to 3 minutes if possible. And I want to thank you all. Hope you understand where I am in this whole thing. It's a tough deal. So at that point, we'll proceed with our roundtable. Berkeley Hills, Carla.
I'm going to have Dee Dee speak.
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead,
Thank
Dee.
you, Carla. And Frank, I admire you so much. Thank you for standing up like that, because this is a place where people need to speak out. Anyway, Berkeley Hills, we had in our April meeting a distance outdoor planning, and we're trying to encourage our neighbors to come in and bring us their concerns and complaints, that we would have enough time to bring it to the next meetings. And so we're really encouraging more participation that way. And we also were able to invite one of our local flower cultivators to come and speak and discuss what she does. And she said, I'm not sure if I should be giving out her name or not, but she's going to come and tell us about what she does and how she can share her talents with us. And that will be at May 11th, outdoor meeting at St. John's Cemetery at 7 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you, Dee. Kanema, Linda. Are you there, Linda?
Her audio's off. I can go.
Okay, let's go ahead with Dennis then from Kanema.
Okay, in my defense, thank you, Bob. Each time we go around, I must say that every time we come to this part of the CIC, we're asked of the neighborhoods, what's going on in your neighborhood? And if you have a neighborhood that has issues related to particular disgruntled people, I don't think it's negligent of me or imparting too much emotion on the CIC to listen to what's going on in the neighborhood and how it may such individuals impact their own neighborhood. And I think it's virtually necessary for this kind of communication to go on. Have I gone on at length too much? Maybe I've just said it too often because we have an issue here that has gone on too long. And what other things are going on in the neighborhood are totally impacted by such disreputable behavior and irresponsible conduct. And it is not about community when you're acting in such a fashion that is so disruptive to the idea of trying to bring harmony and continuity and a little bit of organization into the neighborhood. And it's just unfortunate. And I can almost attest, and I don't know who it is, but I could sure it's probably the same kind of people who are having difficulty with the idea that people could be alarmed that they're trying to take an inordinate amount of power or control over issues that don't relate to them. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Caulfield, John.
So I'd like to say, Bob, I appreciate your stand on this. Your stand since you've been the head of CIC. I was on the committee when we changed the bylaws and brought things back to where it should be before. I know you did a presentation to the city council and I listened to that, and it's amazing how much things CIC was involved in last year. You know, we hear a lot, we know a lot, we have an idea what's happening, and that's really great to know. And we are growing to get another neighborhoods back in, which is really nice. As far as our neighborhood concerned, the new park over by the high school, the playground's open. There's kids out there running around and playing on rocks and all the wood things. It's really nice to see. Someday I'll remember the name of that park, which I really feel bad about. You know, things happen. Now I heard a rumor that last week they were talking about the sale falling through with the Indians and the owner of Blue Heron, that there's a problem there. I don't know if anyone else heard anything. I know the city people aren't on tonight to hear anything what they might have heard, but that was kind of a scary idea. Hard's been trying to get something going on there, and every time we get there, something else, you know, kind of falters a little bit. So there's a big concern there, and I hope that that isn't true, or that they can work that problem out. Our next meeting will be May 25th. Maybe our last meeting before September, because the summers we don't really meet, and getting that all put together, it's nice. Next meeting, I'll probably have a public comment on the freeway tolls they're talking about. In some meetings, they just don't like the way they're turning, but I will lay out my thoughts on it. And just, I think to heavily affect Oregon City and our transportation. So people need to go on, and people don't want tolls. And so we'll see where that goes, but I'll hold it off till next meeting. And I think that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you, John. Next up is Hillendale, Sarah Peterson.
Well, hello. We're just getting reestablished as a neighborhood involved with an association and back within the city and everything. So there really isn't much to report right now. We did have a meeting. It's just kind of ground roots getting started. We have the beginnings of a board, and we just talked about meeting next week. And so we'll be doing that. There is, we're going to try to have a neighborhood meeting in July, but you know, we're just still getting our footing. So I don't really have much to say yet.
Hey, Sarah.
Yes.
If you want to have anything changed or added to your neighborhood associations page, the Hillendale one, either announcing a Zoom meeting or change of contact information, you can just email me and provide me the updates, and I will do that.
Great. Thank you, Christina.
And again, Sarah, welcome to the CIC. And please be aware that you actually have, Hillendale has 2 seats on the CIC. So if you could get that second person elected, why, that'd be great.
I will work on it. I want a buddy here.
Okay. Next presentation from McLaughlin, Denise.
Hi there. So on May 1st, we had a pretty good group. I think there were at least 10 people, did a cleanup of 7th Street. We did some cleaning up the planter boxes and picking up all the cigarette butts, etc. And then on June 5th, we're going to do a cleanup at Barkley Park between 9 and 11. And on July 17th, we're going to do a cleanup at Waterboard Park. And those will both probably be mostly ivy pole work. John, I think the park you're talking about is Ladderette Park. That's kind of by the high school. And that I know it was opening soon. I don't know if it's open yet, but I think that's the park you might be thinking of. Our next meeting is this Thursday, and it will be a Zoom meeting. And the postcards were sent out, and I've already talked to 3 new neighbors in our neighborhood and have encouraged them to attend that. So, and it sounded like they might, so that would be great. Let's see, we've had some discussion with the Father's Heart Ministry, and we're going to be putting together a good neighbor policy with them. Yep, that's all I've got.
Okay, your ivy pulling reminded me of a city commission meeting a few years ago where one of the city commissioners said they were having a ivy cleanup in Waterboard Park, and somebody asked her if they had to bring their own soap. I'm glad
Ivy.
I'm glad you said cleanup. I mean, what'd you say? Ivy.
Hold
Oh, yeah, anyway. Our next one is Park Place. Steve.
So we had a meeting, a steering committee meeting in April, primarily discussed Park Place Park and all of the contentious issues surrounding Hiram going right through the middle of the park. And after hearing 3 different presentations on that day, we sent Lisa to the city commission the following Wednesday, and the city commission talked about it for over an hour. And currently the status is that they're pursuing the purchase of that property by a private citizen who has said that they would donate it back to the city. So that would preclude having to put a city street right of way through the middle of our park. The other thing that they'd mentioned was when the charter park was first developed in the mid-90s, Denise McGriff said that they were going to change the way that that access was done by coming up and not going through the park, but turning left at the parking lot. But that would require a 40-foot wide right-of-way, which would put it right in the middle of our new playground. So we don't think that's going to work, and we're just hoping that they're going to get the purchase done. Other than that, we've got a meeting on May 17th. It will be a Zoom meeting. I haven't seen the agenda yet, so we'll find out later. That's all I got.
Thank you, Steve. Let's see, Rivercrest, Karen.
Aaron.
Hello, Karen, are you there?
I'm here. I was trying to check something. You got to me too fast. Rivercrest is still not meeting in person and not trying Zoom or any of the other alternatives. We are communicating by Nextdoor and Facebook. And I had just posted a recent update to people to sign up for the monthly trail news update and pay attention to their trail news. I'm now going to throw on my other hat. John is referring in Caulfield neighborhood to the Tyrone S. Woods Memorial Park. Tyrone was a Navy veteran who was killed in Benghazi. There will be an invitation only dedication in May. The park is open. People are playing there already. and it is our new gem. We also, in the McLaughlin neighborhood, have our first ever Oregon State Film Trail sign, which is going to be dedicated on Wednesday. Again, thanks to COVID, invitation only. But between 4th and 5th, there is a sign that points out that the former Blue Heron mill site was a site for several movies and television shows to be filmed. And we have joined the State of Oregon Film Trail. Also this year, the Mountain View Cemetery will not be holding an in-person Memorial Day ceremony. We will be broadcasting a digital ceremony thanks to the assistance from the Willamette Falls Media Center. It will be updated from last year. So watch the city site for notices. I'm going to guess probably 10 a.m. on Memorial Day, but please join us to honor our veterans. That's it.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, if I'm always challenged by getting things on the agenda. Sometimes I'm inundated with requests, and other times it seems like a desert. So if any of you have any suggestions on items of common interest for the agenda, please email me and I'll do my best to get them on there for you. Anything else from anybody? Okay, thank you
Bob,
all.
Can you hear me yet?
Yes,
Bob?
Denise.
Linda,
Hear me? Linda?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Linda.
We can hear you, Linda.
Okay. I had trouble and went around getting my computer going, okay? But I would like to come on and round table as well. Kanema did have a meeting in April, and we are doing Zoom meetings. We don't like them, but that's what we have to do. We're looking very much forward to we can meet in large groups again and perhaps have a meeting, a get together in the park just to see faces. But at our meeting, we had a very rousing conversation about the cottages, went on for some time, which the cottage development has gone on as well. And with the siding. And then we have a very horrible incident in our neighborhood where because we're so small, everybody knows everybody, where someone turned in a neighbor for re-siding their house with siding that the person did not like. So it's just gotten awful. So anyway, we are trying to work through with it, but it's a mess. And I thank you, Bob, very much for sticking up for Dennis. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Linda.
Now Dennis has another issue to talk about.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
Any other comments?
I have a comment. I just wanted to say thank you, Karen, for clarifying which park that was. I was thinking of the old Oregon City High School.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? Thank you. We'll see you in June. This meeting is adjourned.
Have a good night, everyone.